He's like one of the longest running senators. Now, granted, I've been making the joke that America's been running on 3060s. He's more like a 2080, but still, you gotta respect him. He's still kicking. He's still getting updates. He's still processing them.
And highly comfortable.
Senator Bernie Sanders issued a scathing statement after the vice president's loss in what he called a disastrous campaign, saying, quote, "It should come as no great surprise that a Democratic Party which has abandoned working class people would find that the working class has abandoned them."
Facts. You know, it's crazy. If 2016, if we go all the way back to 2016 and the Democratic Party actually focused on being Democratic, this guy probably would have been our president and the world would be a lot different. Whether you like him or not, you got to respect him. This is a man that's lost a lot for standing on his values and standing on his principles for a
And Independent
long
Senator
time.
Bernie Sanders of Vermont joins me now. Senator Sanders, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here on this Sunday after Election Day. Let's start.
He's like one of the longest running senators. Now, granted, I've been making the joke that America's been running on 3060s. He's more like a 2080, but still, you got to respect him. He's still kicking. He's still getting updates. He's still processing them.
Right there, your criticism incredibly direct. You say you think the Democratic Party has, quote, abandoned the working class. How exactly do you think Democrats have abandoned the working class, Senator?
Well, they stopped focusing on the growth of the working class because all the growth has been happening for the top 1% and all the corporate elites and big pharma and as well as these bureaucrats like Nancy Pelosi who have had insider trading. She may not, but her husband, it's tied to the family. It's just super gross. And the fact that now we have to focus on this woke mind virus that has just infected the left, and that's what the middle class has to obey by, the rules of the woke Democratic Party. That's how they lost them.
Look, the working people of this country are extremely angry. They have a right to be angry. In the richest country in the history of the world, today the people on top are doing phenomenally well, while 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
It's like if we're spawning in like Diablo, most people are playing Diablo in hardcore, unless you're just somebody who's come into extreme wealth or in just a higher echelon of wealth where you can die and you don't lose everything. But if you're playing a game on hardcore or like a survival game on hardcore, you die, you'll lose everything. That's most Americans right now. Every time that they start their car or some kind of minor inconvenience happen, there's like a level of anxiety that brings upon their shoulders. It's like an, oh fuck, how am I going to pay for this and still stay on top of everything else that I have going on in my life?
And millions of families worry that their kids are actually going to have a lower standard of living than they do. You got the top 1% owning more wealth than the bottom 90%. We're the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all of our people.
That's one thing, like, where if you ask me what I believe in, I would definitely consider myself a Democrat. I'd be okay with my taxes going and covering education and covering health care for my community, for the people around me. I just don't trust our current government and our current administration to do it. Now, with Trump coming in and Elon and Tulsi and everyone backing, I could definitely see I trust them. But what we've had,
25% of our seniors are trying to live on $15,000 a year or less. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. And the gap between the people on top and everybody else is getting wider and wider. And then, Kristen, on top of all of that, we got a corrupt campaign finance system which allows billionaires to buy elections. So if you're an average worker out there, you're saying, hey, I'm working longer and longer hours, going nowhere in a hurry, worried about my kids, and yet the people on top have never had it so good. Where is the Democratic Party? Are they prepared to stand up to these powerful corporate interests, raise the minimum wage, fight for health care for all people, make sure that all of our kids get the quality education that they need, expand Social Security? Are they prepared to do those things? That's the issue that we have to address.
Well,
and expanding Social Security is an interesting one because now we're on the precipice of us being in so much debt that Social Security is going to get nicked.
You know,
possibly.
Your statement was met with some sharp reaction as well. This is what Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi had to say. Take a look. I'll get your reaction on the other side.
Bernie Sanders has not won. Let me, with all due respect, and I have a great deal of respect for him, for what he stands for, but I don't respect him saying that the Democratic Party has abandoned the working class families.
What is this actually? All she's saying here is that she doesn't agree that, or doesn't respect him for saying that, for this. What does the statement have to say? How do you feel about her saying that she doesn't respect you? What a dumb question. And how gross is she? She is the worst person to be asking for this, because her husband is the most successful trader of basically human history. He is the best. He is a better trader than Warren Buffett and any stockbroker that you've read, any masterclass that you signed up for. He is light years more of an accurate trader. And I wonder where he gets his information from. Maybe his wife?
Senator, how do you respond to Nancy Pelosi?
I don't give a fuck.
Well, Nancy's a friend of mine, and we've worked together on many issues.
Close
But
friend,
here
I'm
is the
sure.
reality. I have to say to Nancy, in the Senate in the last 2 years, we have not even brought forth legislation to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, despite the fact that some 20 million people in this country are working for less than $15 an hour. In America today, we have not brought, in the Senate, we have not brought.
That's one thing I do disagree with Bernie on. I think if you bring up the minimum wage, all you're going to do is create more demand for prices to go up.
To the floor the PRO Act to make it easier for workers to join unions. We're not talking about defined benefit pension plans so that our elderly can retire with security. We're not talking about lifting the cap on Social Security so that we can extend the solvency of Social Security and raise benefits. Bottom line, if you're an average working person out there, do you really think that the Democratic Party is going to the mats, taking on powerful special interests and fighting for you? I think the overwhelming answer is no. And
I agree, and I think that's why we saw such a strong move toward the right during this past election.
that is what has got to change.
Senator, let me zoom out and just ask you about these results. You've heard some of the reaction throughout the Democratic Party. How much do you personally blame President Biden for this loss?
President Biden, when he came into office, said that he would be the most progressive president since FDR. And I think on domestic issues, not foreign policy, on domestic issues, he has kept his word, and the agenda that he has pushed through has been an extraordinarily strong one. But that agenda has got to be placed within the overall context of American society today. And that American society today is one in which tens of millions of working families and elderly people are struggling, while the people on top have never had it so good.
But, Senator, should he have gotten out of the race more quickly, as some are arguing?
I'm not going to. I supported him because I think his agenda was a strong agenda, a working class agenda. I'm not going to look backwards. Kamala ran a strong campaign. She did everything that she could. She decisively won the debate. So
I don't know if she ran a strong campaign or if she decisively won the debate. But in terms of like Biden being super progressive, he did do something with the student tax and alleviate a lot of the student loan debt, which was that was a good thing. We got to give credit where credit is due. Out of the 4 years, 99% of it was fucked. The one thing that came good out of it was student loan forgiveness.
me, it's not just about the campaign. It's about what does the Democratic Party stand for. Do ordinary people say, yeah, that is a party that is fighting for my interest and prepared to take on the big money interest who control the economic and political life of the country? That's to me what the issue is.
Yeah, we're talking a lot about the economics. You've talked about how the Democratic Party is out of touch when it comes to economic issues. Some Democrats are saying it's not just economic issues, it's cultural issues as well. Here's what Democratic strategist James Carville had to say. Take a look.
What killed the Democrats and what killed Biden was a sense of disorder. And part of the sense of disorder was the unfortunate events of what I would refer to as the woke era.
That woke era. You see, these kids, they're so rambunctious with their ideas. It's spreading through our nation. And a lot of people don't like it. Like back in the day when ringworms was the thing, everyone got ringworms and the general IQ got cut in half. Damn near made everybody stupid. And that's what it has infected our Democratic Party. Tell me that wasn't spot on with this guy.
Has the Democratic Party's focus on identity politics gone too far, Senator?
Let me answer it this way. I think if the Democratic Party must continue to stand up against all forms of bigotry. And Democrats should hold their head high in saying, we led the fight for women's rights and to protect the woman's constitutional right for abortion. We led the fight for civil rights, for gay rights. That is something we should be proud of. But it's not either or, Chris, and this is the problem. You can do both. You could say that I'm for raising the minimum wage to a living wage, guarantee health care for all people, expanding Social Security. And by the way, I also support a woman's right to control her own body, etc. It's not either or. It's going for.
Whoa, that makes a lot of sense there, Bernie. You might want to you might want to shush your face. That Democrats may not want to hear that.
Forward in both.
That makes a lot of sense.
Directions.
You know, I've been speaking to some Democrats who are concerned because now President-elect Trump has beaten 2 women candidates, and their concern is that it will make it more difficult.
They're gonna run it as Trump is just beating women.
To nominate a woman candidate in the future. Do you share that concern, Senator?
No, I don't. I think it's not a question. Look, I'm not going to deny that there is sexism in this country. That there's.
Didn't he just say we should stand against bigotry? And wasn't that just kind of like a bigoted comment? Like, that was so stupid. I mean, technically, it's more of a sexist comment, but still, that was so stupid. Why they ask the stupidest questions on mainstream media? What is this?
Racism, there's homophobia. It's there. But on the other hand, I think what the American people want to support, whether it's a woman, a man, a black or a white, or Latino, whatever, is they want to support somebody who is standing up, Kristen, and fighting for them. People are in pain. People are hurting. They can't afford to go to a doctor. They can't afford to send their kids to childcare or to college. They're worried about future generations and what kind of standard of living they will have. Here is the bottom line, and it has to be dealt with. You got an economy today doing phenomenally well for the people on top. It is not working for the working class. All right? How do we address those issues and in the richest country on the history of the world, create an economy that works for all? That is the issue. And by the way, what Trump did in his election is to say, I know that you're hurting. And the reason is they got millions of people coming across the border illegal. They're eating your dogs. They're eating your cats. He gave an explanation. It happened to be a pretty crazy explanation. Yes, we got to strengthen the borders, but that is not going to raise wages for working people or provide health care to all people. The Democrats need an explanation, and that explanation is corporate greed and the power of the billionaire class. I know that's uncomfortable for people in the Democratic Party, some people, but that.
He's speaking a lot of facts, but this is what Trump is running on, and this is what I think he's even admitting to. But Trump does say some wild things where you got to hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your dog, hide your pets because they're coming out there raping and eating all of them out there. You know, that's some craziness that you might hear. But then you go back and look at it, and there may be some truth, some underlying truth to the craziness of the messages.
That is the issue we have to address.
Senator, quickly before I let you go, I do want to ask you about the Supreme Court. Some Democrats behind the scenes quietly talking about the possibility, should Justice Sotomayor step down, to allow President Biden to appoint someone who's younger. She's only 70 years old. Is that something that you would support? Do you think she should step down?
No, I don't.
Have you heard any talk of this?
They ask the stupid, most like gotcha kind of questions where they're trying to clip farm like they're fucking FaZe Ronaldo from or Lacey. They're like, he's like, no, I don't, and they're like, we need more.
A little bit, yes. I don't think it's a sensible approach.
And you don't think it's a sensible approach?
Correct.
All right. Senator Bernie Sanders,
he's like,
thank
I'm not
you
falling
very
for this.
much for your time this morning and your perspective. We really appreciate it.
I every time I see this Kristen lady on TV, it just infuriates me because I know she's just trying to get a gotcha question, and it's just disingenuous. But ultimately, Bernie is just like, look, if you guys continue to go around this track, just continue to fuck around and find out and keep losing the election because you guys are just having the wrong mindset completely around this. get back to what the Democratic Party used to stand for, because now it's not even the same of what it used to be when I was a kid. But if you guys are picking up what I'm putting down, you like the way the words are flowing out my mouth, please like the video, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.